The galaxy's giant starship chooses a human mechanic, and he trembles upon entry. One moment, he was hunched over a malfunctioning mining drone on the edge of the asteroid belt, his hands covered in grease, and his mind focused on circuits and plasma conduits. The next, a shimmering light filled the small workshop, and a voice, soft yet powerful, spoke directly into his mind. "Jace Arlen," it said, "you are chosen." He jumped back, nearly toppling the workbench. The voice was calm, precise, and undeniably alive. It was not a human voice. It was not an alien voice he had ever heard. It was the voice of the Etherian. The Etherian. Even the name carried weight across the galaxy. The ship was a legend, a massive starship larger than some small planets, alive in ways no other vessel could ever be. Its engines thrummed with quantum energy that bent space itself, and its corridors were said to shift and respond to its crew's needs. And now, it had chosen him, a human mechanic. Jace's heart pounded so loudly he feared it would echo through the tiny workshop. Humans were considered weak by most spacefaring civilizations. The aliens he had worked with on mining stations often laughed at human limitations. Their small size, fragile bodies, and simple organs compared to multi-limbed species or those with neural networks embedded directly in their brains. Yet here he was, summoned by the galaxy's largest starship. He swallowed hard and looked around. Nothing had changed except the light, which seemed to shimmer in colors he couldn't name. The workshop felt small, almost fragile, as if the vastness of the galaxy had compressed into this moment. You chose me," Jace stammered aloud, not even sure if the ship could hear him. "Yes," the voice replied. "Step aboard, learn, serve, become part of the ship." Jace's knees shook. The Etherian's presence was more than intimidating, it was overwhelming. The ship did not communicate like other starships. It did not beep or flash alerts. It felt. Waves of energy rolled through the space around him, brushing against his mind in soft pulses. It was alive, aware, and aware of him. He hesitated. Could he leave the safety of the workshop? Could he really step onto a ship that dwarfed entire cities, where creatures from dozens of alien worlds lived and worked? He was a human. He had spent his life fixing small machines, not commanding or operating enormous ships. Yet, somewhere deep inside, a spark of curiosity burned. He had always dreamed of seeing the galaxy, of understanding the strange and wondrous technology scattered across the stars. Perhaps this was his chance. Taking a deep breath, Jace activated his personal shuttle and set course for the coordinates the voice had provided. As he approached, the Etherian revealed itself. It was impossible to describe in any single word. Its hull glimmered with shifting panels, reflecting starlight like a liquid mirror. Massive engines hummed quietly, bending light and space around them. And as the shuttle drew near, the air seemed to hum with anticipation, vibrating with a resonance that penetrated his bones. "Docking sequence initiated," the ship said, in the same calm, resonant tone that had first called him. "Welcome aboard, human." The docking bay was enormous, easily large enough to hold a dozen of the largest freighters Jace had ever seen. The walls pulsed with energy as if alive, and the lights moved in patterns that felt like slow breathing. He stepped off the shuttle, boots clicking against a metal floor that seemed impossibly smooth, yet solid. And then he trembled. Every sense screamed at him. The sheer scale of the place, the low hum of engines that could tear planets apart, the faint scent of ozone and metals, and the quiet presence of the ship, all combined to make him feel insignificant. Every step he took echoed through the massive corridors. Shadows danced in ways he could not understand. Panels lit up as he approached, almost like the ship was welcoming him personally. A tall, four-armed alien engineer appeared from the side corridor, eyes wide as they studied him. "You the human?" it asked in a language that Jace understood thanks to universal translators. "The Etherian, it chose a human," Jace swallowed. I think so." The alien's mandibles clicked softly. Impossible. No human has ever been aboard the core decks. You must be careful. I will, Jace said, though he didn't feel entirely sure of what he could do. The voice of the ship resonated in his mind again. Follow me. He obeyed, walking cautiously through corridors that shifted slightly as he moved, the ship's architecture responding to his presence. For the first time, he realized the ship was not just a vehicle, it was a living entity. The panels near him pulsed when he lingered, tools floated gently toward him, and subtle currents of energy nudged him along the correct path. It felt as though the ship was studying him, testing him, and guiding him all at once. Eventually, they arrived at the quantum drive. It was a room unlike any engineering bay he had ever seen. The drive itself was enormous, a swirling lattice of energy and metal that seemed almost organic. Pulses of light traveled along the conduits like veins carrying blood, and the low hum resonated with the ship's consciousness. You must repair it, the ship said simply. Jace's eyes widened. Repair it? I don't know if I can. Yes, you can, trust yourself. The room's energy hummed around him, and he tentatively reached out. His fingers tingled as they brushed the surface of the drive. Panels shifted, lights adjusting in response to his touch. He realized that this was no ordinary repair job. The Etherian required him specifically because it could sense his human intuition, something the alien engineers lacked. For hours he worked. Sweat dripped from his brow as he adjusted delicate conduits, replaced microcomponents, and rerouted energy flows in ways that seemed to defy conventional physics. Every so often, the ship pulsed, almost as if approving his methods. The alien engineers watched in silence, disbelief plain in their expressions. Jace, a human, was doing what they had spent decades trying to achieve, stabilizing the quantum drive that powered the Etherian's core. By the time he finished, exhaustion weighed heavily on his body, but something inside him had shifted. For the first time in his life, he felt capable. The ship's voice returned, softer now, almost like a whisper. Well done, Jace. You are human. You are chosen. Together, we can explore the galaxy. Jace leaned against the wall, still trembling, but this time from excitement rather than fear. He realized that being human, with all his limitations, had made him exactly the right choice. The aliens, the technology, even the vastness of space, it did not matter. He had something unique, something instinctive that the galaxy's greatest starship recognized and valued. And as he looked down the endless corridor, he knew this was only the beginning. The Etherian had chosen him, and together they would face wonders and dangers that no human or alien had ever encountered. He straightened his back, wiped the sweat from his brow, and stepped forward, trembling still, yes, but no longer with fear. This was his moment, and he would rise to meet it. Somewhere deep in the ship, a panel glowed brighter, almost like a heartbeat, and Jace smiled, ready for whatever came next. The corridors of the Etherian hummed with life, responding to Jace's every step. Panels glowed softly as he passed, subtle pulses of energy rippling like a heartbeat. Yet the awe that had filled him on his first day was now tempered by a creeping sense of responsibility. The ship had chosen him, but why? What did it expect from a human, fragile and inexperienced, in a galaxy filled with ancient and powerful beings? Jace Arlen, the voice of the ship echoed in his mind, calm and steady. There is a challenge awaiting you. Observe, understand, and act. You are needed. He followed the vibrations through the corridors until he reached the quantum drive chamber again. The energy lattice he had stabilized earlier was now flickering, small arcs of irregular light dancing along the conduits. The drive was alive, but something was wrong. He stepped closer, feeling the pulses beneath his fingertips. His stomach twisted with anxiety, but he forced himself to breathe. He reminded himself of what the ship had already shown him. His intuition mattered here. His human hands could sense patterns the alien engineers could not. A small group of engineers had gathered in the chamber, their many eyes trained on him. Some of them whispered in alien tongues. Jace understood the words even without translation. Impossible. Human cannot do this. We have failed before. Jace clenched his fists. I'll try, he said quietly. Not to them, but to himself, and maybe to the ship which seemed to pulse brighter at his words. He began examining the conduits, running his hands along the lattice. Unlike the alien engineers, who relied on abstract calculations, Jace trusted his senses. He could feel the energy patterns as vibrations beneath his fingertips. Small inconsistencies caught his attention. A tiny misalignment here, a subtle friction there, inefficiencies that the other species had missed. "Human hands," muttered one of the aliens under its breath. "They understand the flow." Jace adjusted a panel, rerouted a microchannel, and the lattice responded immediately. Pulses of light steadied, and the flickering lessened. The drive seemed to sigh in relief, its vibrations harmonizing with the rhythm of the ship itself. Hours passed, though it felt like minutes. Jace improvised tools, bending and reshaping them as he worked. No alien method could have accomplished this. Their precision was flawless but rigid. His improvisation, born of instinct and a tactile connection with the machine, was what the Etherian needed. Finally, the drive stabilized, humming smoothly like a living heart. The alien engineers watched in stunned silence, eyes wide, mandibles clicking softly in disbelief. One of them, a being with translucent skin and 6 delicate limbs, whispered, "The human, he is the key." Jace barely had time to savor the moment when the ship's voice spoke again. "Well done, but your trials are only beginning." Before he could ask what it meant, alarms echoed through the Etherian, low and ominous. Red pulses streaked along the walls, but not in panic. They were warnings, a call to focus. "Cosmic storm detected," the voice said, steady but grave. "Unknown in origin. Approaching trajectory intersects with current course. Probability of survival without human intervention low." Jace froze. A storm capable of destroying a ship the size of the Etherian. He had never faced anything like this. He was just a mechanic, not a pilot or a strategist. But the ship was alive. It had chosen him. Somehow it believed he could help. He ran through the corridors to the navigation core, panels shifting in response to his approach. The alien crew was already there, their tentacles and limbs moving over controls with precise calculations. "The human," one hissed. "He will not survive this. We must override him." Jace ignored them. He reached the center of the bridge and placed his hands on the tactile interface, feeling the vibrations of the ship and the storm in a way that no alien could. The Etherian pulsed beneath him, almost like it was saying, "Trust yourself. Feel the storm." He closed his eyes and let the sensations guide him. The storm was immense, a swirling chaos of plasma and radiation that defied prediction. The alien systems could calculate probabilities, but they could not feel the patterns. Jace's mind worked differently. He sensed subtle currents in the storm, gaps in the energy flows, rhythms hidden beneath the chaos. With each adjustment of the ship's energy conduits, he could feel the storm responding, bending around them. Panels glowed, engines hummed, and the hull vibrated with the ship's awareness. The Etherian was alive in a way the aliens could never comprehend, and it trusted him to guide it. Minutes stretched like hours as Jace worked. Sweat poured down his face and his hands shook, but he did not stop. He felt the storm's pulse, felt the gaps, and moved the ship with a fluidity that stunned the alien crew. "Impossible," one whispered. "The human, he can navigate it." Jace did not answer. His mind and body were focused entirely on the ship and the storm. Every instinct, every small intuition he had honed as a mechanic, became a tool in this deadly ballet. The ship shifted, weaving through the plasma currents, diving and rising with a grace no alien algorithm could produce. The storm roared around them, lightning arcing through space, cosmic winds threatening to tear the hull apart. Yet Jace's hands moved with confidence now. He understood the ship in a way he never thought possible, and the Etherian responded with complete trust. Hours, or maybe minutes later, the storm began to thin. The Etherian emerged intact, its massive hull unscathed. Panels glowed warmly and the hum of the engines was steady, calm, alive. Jace collapsed into a seat, exhausted beyond measure. He could hardly believe what had just happened. The alien engineers stared at him, silent and awestruck. They had seen many things in their long lives, but never a human guide a starship through a cosmic storm that could have destroyed it. The ship's voice returned, gentle and proud. "You have proven your worth, Jace. You are human. You are chosen. Together, we can face the unknown." Jace looked around, breathing heavily, and realized something remarkable. He was trembling not from fear, but from awe and pride. He had doubted himself, worried he was too small, too fragile, too human. Yet here he was, not only surviving but excelling, doing what no alien could do. For the first time, he understood what the Etherian had seen in him. Humans were unpredictable, instinctive, and intuitive in ways that machines and aliens could not replicate. And in a galaxy full of danger and wonder, those qualities were invaluable. The alien crew began to speak, hesitantly at first, then more openly. "The human, he is remarkable," one said. Another nodded, adding, "His hands, his mind, it is as if the ship itself guides him, but he leads as well." Jace smiled weakly, still catching his breath. He had never wanted recognition. He had only wanted to survive, to do his job, and to understand. Yet now he was not just a mechanic. He was part of the ship, part of something greater than any human or alien alone. The Etherian pulsed beneath him, warm and alive, almost like it was laughing softly in delight. "There are more trials ahead," it said, "more wonders, more dangers, but you have proven yourself. You are ready." Jace leaned back, closing his eyes for a brief moment. He could still feel the storm's energy lingering in the hull, a reminder of what they had survived together. And he realized something else. He no longer trembled at the thought of the ship. He trembled at the thought of the universe, vast, unpredictable, and full of challenges that a human, chosen by a living starship, could meet head-on. The corridors of the Etherian seemed smaller now, less intimidating. The alien crew watched him with new respect, and even their whispers of doubt were gone. He was no longer merely a human among giants. He was a guide, a mechanic, and a partner to the galaxy's most powerful ship. Yet deep in the quantum drive chamber, subtle flickers of light warned that the journey was far from over. Unknown forces awaited them, mysteries the galaxy had never revealed. The storm had been only the beginning. Jace opened his eyes, determination settling in his chest. He would face whatever came next, not just as a human, but as the human the Etherian had chosen. And together they would continue into the unknown. The Etherian hummed quietly, a living giant drifting through the void. After surviving the cosmic storm, the ship was calm but alert. Its walls pulsed with soft lights, energy flowing like blood through its massive veins. Jace Arlen leaned against the rail of the observation deck, staring at the stars that stretched into infinity. He had faced fear, doubt, and the overwhelming scale of the galaxy. He had survived challenges no human had ever attempted, and yet he knew this was only the beginning. The ship's voice spoke again, gentle and strong. "Jace, the galaxy watches. A new threat approaches, unknown, intelligent, dangerous. You must prepare." Jace swallowed hard. The first storm had been natural, chaotic, and brute. But now the ship spoke of something conscious. Something that could think, adapt, and perhaps even anticipate their moves. The alien crew gathered in the command center, their expressions tense. They had seen Jace's skills, but fear lingered in their many eyes and limbs. The unknown was always frightening, and even the Etherian could not predict this threat alone. "Human," one alien said, its voice trembling, "we cannot confront this alone. You must lead." Jace's heart pounded. He was a mechanic, not a warrior, not a strategist. But the ship had chosen him, and instinctively, he knew it trusted him to act. He took a deep breath and stepped forward. "Show me the threat," he said. The observation deck shifted, holographic projections materializing in the air. A massive anomaly floated ahead of them, dark and swirling, yet intelligent in its movement. Pulses of energy radiated outward, probing the ship, scanning, analyzing. "Sentient," the Etherian's voice said. "Analyzing, but no prediction matches its behavior. It adapts instantly." The alien engineers murmured in alarm. None had faced anything like this. All calculations failed, and yet the ship's consciousness seemed calm, as if it were waiting for Jace's human intuition to guide them. Jace approached the control interface, feeling the subtle vibrations of the anomaly. He could not calculate its behavior mathematically, but he could sense patterns in its movements. The ship resonated beneath him, alive and responsive, almost encouraging him to trust his instincts. "You can do this," he whispered to himself. "You can." His fingers traced the tactile controls, adjusting shields and energy conduits in ways the aliens could not understand. He guided the ship in a careful dance, weaving through the anomalies, probing pulses, dodging energy flares that could tear even a starship apart. Minutes stretched into eternity as he relied on instinct, creativity, and the subtle cues of the Etherian. The alien crew watched, silently amazed. Each adjustment he made was unorthodox but effective. Where aliens relied on calculations, Jace relied on intuition. Where machines relied on algorithms, he relied on feeling. The anomaly shifted suddenly, sending a wave of energy that should have destroyed the Etherian. Jace acted instantly, rerouting power to the shields while adjusting the ship's orientation. The wave passed harmlessly, leaving the ship intact. You survived that," one alien breathed. "How?" Jace only shook his head. "I don't know, I just felt it." The ship's consciousness hummed with approval. "Human intuition guides us through. You are remarkable." As the battle continued, it became clear that brute force or logic alone would not win. The anomaly was intelligent, probing, adapting, learning. The Etherian needed a partner, someone who could think outside patterns, someone unpredictable. Jace realized that the ship had chosen him for this reason, not for strength, not for size, but for humanity itself. Hours passed in tense silence, broken only by the occasional pulse of energy and Jace's focused commands. The alien engineers began to adjust their methods, following his lead. Slowly, cautiously, they realized that human intuition was guiding them, shaping their actions. Then came the decisive moment. The anomaly concentrated its energy, forming a massive pulse aimed directly at the ship. All calculations suggested destruction, yet Jace sensed a pattern, a rhythm hidden within the chaos. He moved swiftly, rerouting energy flows and synchronizing the ship's vibrations with the pulse. The energy hit, and for a moment it seemed the ship would shatter. Then, miraculously, it passed through, absorbed and dispersed by the precise adjustments Jace had made. The anomaly faltered, confused by this unpredictable response. "Now," Jace shouted, "focus all systems on the core lattice. Mirror its energy." The alien crew followed instinctively, guided by the human who had tamed the storm and now commanded them through an intelligent threat. The Etherian pulsed in harmony with Jace's movements, and together they redirected the anomaly's energy back toward itself. With a final burst of coordinated power, the anomaly dissipated, scattering harmlessly into space. The ship was safe, and the threat neutralized. Silence filled the command center, broken only by the steady hum of the engines. Jace sank into a seat, exhausted but alive. His hands shook, not from fear, but from the sheer intensity of what had just occurred. He had guided a starship through impossible danger, relying not on technology alone but on his own human instincts. The aliens stared at him, awe and respect in every movement and glance. "The human, he is extraordinary," one whispered. Another added, "He sees what we cannot. He leads without commanding." The ship's voice returned, proud and resonant. "Jace Arlen, human, you have proven the value of your species. Your intuition, creativity, and courage have saved us. You are not just chosen, you are essential." Jace allowed himself a small smile. For the first time, he felt truly seen, not as a fragile human among giants, but as a partner, an essential element in a galaxy full of wonders. As the Etherian adjusted its course, preparing to leave the system, Jace looked at the stars stretching endlessly before them. The galaxy was vast, full of mysteries and dangers, but he no longer trembled. He was a human, yes, but he was also chosen, trusted, and indispensable. Days passed as they traveled together. Jace learned to communicate more deeply with the ship, feeling subtle shifts in energy, sensing disturbances before alarms sounded, and understanding the patterns of the universe in ways even alien engineers could not. Each day brought new challenges: asteroid fields, rogue drones, and unstable energy fields. But Jace faced them with growing confidence, guided by instinct and insight. The alien crew gradually changed as well. Their whispers of doubt disappeared, replaced by admiration. They watched as Jace solved problems with intuition and creativity, doing what even the most advanced algorithms could not. He became a symbol of human ingenuity, a living testament to the idea that humans were more than their size, fragility, or simple biology. Finally, the ship settled into a quiet orbit around a luminous gas giant. The journey had been long, and the trials had tested every skill Jace possessed. The Etherian pulsed warmly beneath him, almost like it was proud of its human companion. "You have done well, Jace," the ship said. "The galaxy will remember this day. Humanity has proven its worth, not through power but through ingenuity, courage, and heart." Jace looked out at the swirling colors of the gas giant, feeling a sense of accomplishment he had never known. He had started trembling at the thought of entering the ship, afraid and unsure. Now he stood as a hero in his own right, a symbol of what humans could achieve. He straightened his back, breathing deeply. The galaxy was vast and unpredictable, but he was ready. Humans had a place among the stars, not as weaklings, but as thinkers, creators, and brave explorers. And as the Etherian prepared to launch into the unknown once more, Jace felt a thrill of excitement. New adventures awaited, unknown worlds, hidden dangers, and mysteries that only a human could navigate with instinct, courage, and heart. For the first time in his life, Jace Arlen smiled without fear. He had been chosen, he had triumphed, and humanity had proven its unique value in a galaxy that had long underestimated it. The stars stretched endlessly before them, and together, human and Starship, they would face every challenge the universe could throw their way. The journey was just beginning.